Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good day, everyone. My name is Tubagus Naizak Sis Herlambang, and I am a student of Jakarta State University. Today, I am honored to present the seminar proposal for my undergraduate thesis entitled The Impact of AI Utilization in Education on Students' Learning Independence with Learning Motivation as a Mediating Factor at SMKN 14 Jakarta. The study aims to explore how artificial intelligence, or so-called AI, as an emerging educational tool that influences students' ability to learn independently, and whether later learning motivation plays a significant mediating role in that process. In this presentation, I will walk you through the background of the study. I will walk you through the problem formulation, theoretical foundation, methodology, and expected contribution of the research. I hope this presentation provides a clear and meaningful overview of my research project. Chapter 1, Introduction. Learning independence is an important skill that must be possessed by vocational school students. Considering the characteristic of vocational education that focus on developing competencies and job readiness, in a curriculum that requires students to learn actively and be able to solve problems in the context of the real world of work, the ability to self-study becomes vital. However, the reality on the ground shows that many vocational school students still have difficulty managing study time, prioritizing assignments, and taking the initiative to understand the material without direct guidance from teachers. Based on SARI on 2021, the level of learning independence of vocational school students in Indonesia is still relatively low, especially in the aspects of self-management and learning motivation, which are the main obstacles in the development of vocational competence. This condition is a big challenge in preparing graduates who are able to adapt and be competent in today's digital and automation era. Referring to the complexity of these problems, it is important to conduct research that examines the influence of the use of AI in learning on learning independence with learning motivation as a mediating variable, especially in the vocational school environment. While this AI offers opportunities to improve access, personalization, and efficiency of the learning process, its implementation doesn't necessarily have a direct positive impact if students are not sufficiently motivated to make optimal use of it. The development of artificial intelligence technology has become a major concern in various fields, including education. AI is used to automate processes, improve the accuracy of analysis, and speed up access to information. In the world of education, AI has great potential to support a more personalized and efficient teaching and learning process because it is able to understand individual learning patterns and adjust the material directly according to the needs of students. According to Ramlah et al. 2023, AI can create an adaptive and efficient digital education ecosystem. The use of AI technology in the learning process has been proven to significantly increase student learning motivation. AI allows for a more personalized and interactive learning experience, so the students will feel more engaged and motivated. Materials tailored to the needs of each individual encourage greater curiosity and learning independence. Developed countries such as the United States, US, South Korea, and Finland have already implemented AI extensively and systematically in their education system. For example, in the US, platforms like AI-powered Dreambox Learning allow students to learn math adaptively according to their abilities, making the learning process more personalized and more effective. The use of this AI helps manage data-driven learning, such as analyzing students' difficulties in understanding concepts and suggesting more appropriate learning approaches. In some schools in Europe, students also learn through AI-powered digital platforms for independent and collaborative learning. Around 40% of schools in Indonesia have started to integrate digital technology and AI in the learning process through school digitalization programs as a first step towards wider adoption. This figure shows a promising initial step, although it is not optimal. The main obstacle is the lack of policy support and equitable access. So the development of this technology is still limited. Therefore, Indonesia needs to collaborate across sectors to catch up. Compared to the developed countries, Indonesia still faces major challenges in implementing AI evenly in the field of education. The main differences lie in the readiness of infrastructure, funding for educational technology, and the training of educators or teachers. In developed countries, AI is already part of the curriculum and supported by a solid system, while in Indonesia, its application is still experimental. The results of the pre-research that have been carried out show that the use of AI in learning has been used quite often by students, but it is not fully optimal in increasing learning independence. From various respondents who filled out survey forms from the Google Forms related to the use of AI and independent learning, an average score of 3.5 out of 5 indicates that students are starting to get used to using technologies such as ChatGPT or Copilot as learning aids. However, although students have become accustomed to using various AI tools, their use is more functional and has not been fully geared towards forming reflective and sustainable learning independence. However, the relatively low learning independence score, 2.7 or 2.8, shows that there are still many students who are not able to learn independently without the guidance of teachers or parents. This shows that there is a gap between the intensity of AI use and its impact on independent learning behavior. In other words, even though students are leveraging AIs, it is not yet fully accompanied by the ability to manage learning independently. Therefore, it is necessary to explore further whether there are other variables that act as a mediators in this relationship. One of the variables that is thought to have a mediation influence is learning motivation, which theoretically becomes a bridge between the use of technology and learning independence. High motivation will encourage students to be more active, find out, and explore material with or without the help of AI, making the learning process more meaningful. A study by Kusumaningrum and Setyosari at 2021, they confirms that motivation acts as a reinforcer in the application of educational technology, where motivated students are more likely to take learning initiatives and use AI strategically. In addition, research by Naibaho and Rantung at 2023 also shows that learning motivation can strengthen the influence of technology on independent learning behavior, so that motivation functions as an important mediating variable in the process. Therefore, examining learning motivation as a mediating variable is important to understand how AI really contributes to the formation of learning independence. This is also in line with the results of pre-research, where although AI has the potential to encourage independence, in fact, it has not been fully realized optimally among vocational school students. The problem statement of this thesis, there are four of it. The first, is there a direct effect of the use of AI in learning on the learning motivation of students at SMKN 14 Jakarta? The second, is there a direct effect of the use of AI in learning on students' learning independence at SMKN 14 Jakarta? Is there a direct effect of learning motivation on students' learning independence at SMKN 14 Jakarta? And the last one is there an indirect effect of the use of AI in learning on the learning independence of students at SMKN 14 Jakarta through learning motivation? For the research purposes of the thesis, there is also four of it. The first one is to determine and analyze the effect of the use of AI in learning on student learning motivation at SMKN 14 Jakarta. The second one, to determine and analyze the effect of the use of AI in learning on student learning independence at SMKN 14 Jakarta. The third one, to determine and analyze the effect of learning motivation on students' learning independence at SMKN 14 Jakarta. And the last one, to determine and analyze the mediating role of learning motivation in the relationship between the use of AI in learning and student learning independence at SMKN 14 Jakarta. Chapter 2, the literature review. The first one is artificial intelligence. Russell and Norvig at 2021 defined AI as the science and engineering of creating intelligent machines, especially in the form of computer programs. AI can be understood as the ability of machines to imitate human cognitive functions, such as learning, thinking, and problem solving. These AIs facilitates the development of intelligent tutoring systems that capable of providing individualized learning experiences, offering instant feedback, and adapting educational materials to meet student-specific requirements, based by Lakin et al. At 2018. The indicators of this variable of AI utilization in learning is AI usage frequency, purpose of using AI, ease of use of AI, effectiveness of AI usage, skills to operate AI while learning. This is based on Meriza et al. 2023 and Zeka and Batubara at 2024. The next variable is learning independence that acts as the Y. Learning independence includes student ability to actively design, control, and evaluate their own learning process through metacognitive, motivational, and behavior, beha- behavioral regulation. In this approach, students are not just recipients of information, but managers of their own learning process who are aware of their strengths and weaknesses and try to optimize appropriate learning strategies. The indicators of learning independence are defined by the first, pre-responsible, progressive and persistent attitude, initiative and creativity, self-control, and last, self-confirmation. And the last variable is about learning motivation. Learning motivation is the psychological energy that drives, directs, and maintains a person's learning behavior. Motivation to learn is not only related to the student's desire to learn, but also the level of persistence and effort the student shows to overcome learning challenges. The indicators of this variable is having a passion and desire to succeed. There is a drive and need to learn, having hopes and dreams for the future. There is appreciation in learning. There are interesting activities in learning, having a conducive learning environment. And these are the previous research that I have found. The first reference thesis is titled The Influence of Artificial Intelligence ChatGPT Learning Media in Increasing Students' Learning Motivation in Pancasila Education Subjects. The conclusion of this research is the use of ChatGPT increased students' learning motivation by 84.9%. The next research is about beware of metacognitive laziness, effects of generative artificial intelligence on learning motivation, process, and performance. The conclusion of this research tells ChatGPT improves the quality of essays, but doesn't increase motivation or comprehension. They also can trigger dependence and metacognitive laziness. The next research is about the effectiveness of AI in science and religion learning to increase student learning independence. The conclusion of this research, AIs such as ChatGPT and Gemini have helped more than 80% of students become more, became more independent in learning without the guidance of lecturers. The fourth research is about generative AI in self-directed learning. The conclusion of this research is Gen AIs like ChatGPT strengthen the ability to self-learn, but require teacher guidance for long-term effectiveness. Okay, the fifth research is about the effect of motivation and self-efficacy on the learning independence of 12th grade social study students. The conclusion of this research is learning motivation and self-efficacy have a positive and significant effect on students' learning independence in online learning. The sixth research is about the effect of learning motivation on the learning independence of students. The conclusion, learning motivation has a significant effect on the learning independence of vocational school students positively. The next research is about how AI-supported learning environments influence self-regulated learning and the mediating role of motivation. The conclusion tells AI-based learning environments encourage learning independence through motivation. The same PLS results showed a significant mediating relationships. Okay, the next research is about analysis of the role of the use of AI chatbots in the learning process on concept, understanding, and student learning independence. The conclusions tells AI chatbots increase motivation and learning independence. Motivation is thought to be a link, even though it has not been statistically tested. So this is the theoretical framework of my thesis. The first theoretical framework, or the H1, is the effect of AI utilization in learning that acts as a X on learning motivation that acts as a Z. The effect of AI utilization in learning has a positive effect on learning motivation. The application of AI in learning can increase students' learning motivation. AI allows the adjustment of materials and activities according to the level of student understanding, as well as providing feedback and assessment that support independent learning. The next theoretical framework is the effect of AI utilization in learning acts on learning independence that act as my Y variable. The effect of AI utilization in learning has a positive effect on learning independence. The independent use of ChatGPT by students helps them organize topics, plan learning, and search for references efficiently. Students feel more confident in managing their learning rhythm and tend to be less dependent on their teachers. Okay, the next hypothesis, the third one, is the effect of learning motivation, Z, on learning independence. Why? The effect of learning motivation has a positive effect on learning independence. Students with high learning motivation tend to be more independent in managing time, setting goals, and evaluating their learning outcomes. It is important for educators to increase students' learning motivation in order to encourage their learning independence. Okay, the last theoretical framework, the fourth hypothesis, is about The effect of AI utilization in learning X on learning independence Y, with learning motivation that acts as the mediator Z. The use of AI in learning has been proven to increase student motivation and independence in learning through adaptive material presentation, personal learning experience, and instant feedback. Several studies from Yahya at 2024, 2024, and Fan at 2025 shows that AI encourages students to learn more independently and be intrinsically motivated. However, the use of AI that is not peda pedagogy pedagogically guided can lead to dependency. The third chapter, research methods. This research was carried out in two main locations, namely at Sekolah Menengah Kejuruan Negeri 14 Jakarta as a location for collecting respondent data with a focus on 11th grade students of the high school, majoring in Business Service Office Management, or called MPLB, Retail Business, or called BR, Accounting, AKL, and the last one is Visual Communication Design, or DKV, as well as on the campus of Jakarta State University as a center for my planning, my data processing, and my research report preparation. The selection of this high school as the location of the research was based on the relevance of the object studied with a focus on vocational education and the use of learning technology at the vocational high school level. The time for the implementation of the research lasts from March 2025 to October 2025. This time includes the preparation stage, preparation of instruments, data collection, data analysis, and preparation of research report results. This study uses a quantitative approach with the type of explanatory research. This approach was chosen because the study aims to explain the causal relationship between the variables studied, namely the effect of the use of AI in learning, X, on student learning independence, Y, and learning motivation, V, as a mediating variable. This method allows researchers to measure how much influence there is between variables and test pre-formulated hypotheses systematically and objectively. Explanatory research is very relevant to test existing theories and confirm the relationships between variables through valid and reliable statistical techniques. In data collection, this study uses a quantitative survey method. This method was chosen because it allows researchers to reach a large number of respondents, reach as in efficiently and obtain standardized data. According to Frankel at 2012, survey research provides a quantitative or numeric description of trends, attitudes, or opinions of a population by studying a sample of that population. The instrument used was a closed questionnaire in the form of a Likert scale, which was designed based on indicators from each research variable. This survey will be distributed to 11th grade students of the vocational high school as a sample. In this study, the population used was all of the 11th grade students of vocational high school 14 Jakarta, which consists of four majors, namely Office Management and Business Service, or so-called MPLB, Retail Business, so-called BR, Institutional Financial Accounting, or so-called ACAL, and the last one is Visual Communication Design, or they are called DKV. The total number of classes from the 11 class is 9 classes, with each class containing 36 students, making the total population of 324 students. The selection of this population is based on the suitability of the characteristic of vocational students who are in an important stage of developing learning independence and adaptive skills to face the world of work. Based on the results of pre-research that has been conducted previously, most students in this population shows challenges in aspects of learning independence, such as difficulty managing time, low learning initiative, and dependence on teacher guidance. Therefore, this population is seen as relevant and strategic to be researched in the context of the use of AI in learning and learning motivation. The sampling technique used in this study is simple random sampling. According to Sugiono at 2021, simple random sampling is a sampling technique from a population that is carried out randomly without paying attention to certain strata or levels or requirement in the population. This means that every member of the population has an equal opportunity to be selected as a research sample. This technique is done by means of lotteries, random number tables, or the help of statistical software so that each element of the population has an equal chance of being selected. The reason the researchers uses the simple random sampling technique is because this technique provides a wider and fairer or more fair opportunity for each member of the population to be a sample, so that it can produce more representative data and reduce potential bias. In addition, the researchers didn't have any special criteria in determining the sample, so the use of simple random sampling was considered the most appropriate. This study uses a quantitative approach with the type of explanatory research, so that the data analysis technique is carried out through the structural equation modeling approach based on partial least square, or so be called SAMPLS, using SmartPLS for software. This technique was chosen because it is suitable for analyzing complex models, including direct and indirect relationships or mediation. And they are also suitable for use when the variable tested are latent or cannot be measured directly, such as the use of AI, learning motivation, and learning independence, each of which is represented by indicators measured through questionnaires. In addition, SAMPLS is predictive, not confirmatory like covariance-based SAM. So it is too suitable for research aimed at explaining and predicting the influence between variables and conceptual models. This technique is also flexible to sample size and can still be used even if the sample size is relatively small to moderate, which is around 30 to 100 respondents. This method doesn't require strictly normal distributed data and is able to handle models with multiple indicators and construct simultaneously, making it an appropriate choice in the study that examines the mediating effect of learning motivation on the relationship between the use of AI in learning and learning independence. By considering the characteristic of the research model, the nature of the latent variables used, and the explanatory and exploratory and predictive research objective, SAMPLS is the most relevant analysis method and supports the validity of the model as a whole. The following are the stages of the data analysis technique used. The first one is the outer model that consists of convergent validity, discriminant validity, composite reliability. The second one is inner model that consists of R square, Q square, path significance or bootstrapping, and variance inflation factor VIN. The third one is the mediation test that also acts as the indirect effect. And the last one is hypothesis test, automatically included in path bootstrapping, but alpha is 5% or 0.05, and if p values under 0.05, and the t-statistic value used is 1.96. The criteria in the hypothesis will be accepted if the statistic is more than 1.96.
So after doing some window of time of doing my research from the third chapter, let's continue to the fourth chapter where we discuss the results and analysis. From my data description, I have got 179 of sample that came from 324 students. The distribution is the data represents all 2025 to 2026 11 graders in SMK 14 Jakarta. Uh, these majors consist of accounting, business retail, design, and administration public. Okay, so first let's start with the outer model. The first we got convergent validity. The criteria is the outer loading values must be above 0.70 and the AVE values must be above 0.50. And at the first model evaluation process, several indicators were found to be invalid. This loading factors is below 0.70, namely X1, X9, Z4, Z10, Y3, Y5, Y8. And my actions to this that I remove these indicators to make the model fit. And finally, the second model, after I re-estimated it, all remaining indicators have a loading factor of above 0.70. Next, for the discriminant validity, I did with the method of cross-loading with the requirement of the each indicator values has a higher correlation with its intended construct than with other constructs. So the result is well fulfilled. Each indicator correlates highest with its own construct. Next is the composite reliability. The first is with the Cronbach alpha results, which the requirement needs to be above 0.70, and it is well fulfilled because this Cronbach alpha have to measures the lower bound of reliability. And the composite reliability, it measures actual reliability and more accurate for sample S. So the requirement for this is also above 0.70. And my results that all variables have values above the established standard, even they falling into the very reliable category. Moving from the outer model to the inner model. So for the R square of the learning independence is 0.6064, or we can read it 66.4%, which means we can categorize it as a strong and moderate category. These variables explains 66.4% of the variance in learning independence. And then the remaining 33.6% is influenced by other unexamined factors. For the next R square is from the learning motivation that have the result number of 0.521, or we can read it in 52.1%, and we can categorize it as moderate. These variables explain 52.1% of the variance in learning independence. The remaining 47.9% is influenced by other unexamined factors. Next, for the Q square, the requirements is the Q square must be above 0. So the Q square of learning motivation is 0.513 and the Q square of learning independence is 0.509. This shows both variables have a Q square above 0, indicating good predictive relevance. Next is the variance inflation factors, or we can call it VIF. This requirement is VIF must be below 5. And the results show that all inner model indicators have a VIF below 5, meaning there is no excessive multicollinearity among the indicators within the respective constructs. Therefore, this model is suitable for further analysis. And now is the hypothesis PET coefficient. Now we're talking about the first three hypotheses, which is direct effects. So the first one is AI in learning into learning independence have a result of significant positive. The number is 0.324. And the second direct effect is AI in learning into learning motivation, which is the result is 0.722, which means significant and positive. And the third direct effect is learning motivation into learning independence, and the result is 0.549, which means also significant and positive. And the last hypothesis of mine, the fourth one, is indirect effect. So I analyzed the role of learning motivation. So the mediation path is AI in learning, into learning motivation, and into learning independence. The result is the p-values is 0, true 0. So in the interpretation, using AI in learning increase student engagement and motivation, which then impacts their ability to learn independently. And then this indicates that learning motivation acts as a mediating mechanism, explaining how AI utilization enhance autonomous learning. And that is the result of my fourth chapter. Moving on to the final chapter as the closing one. So my conclusion, based on the data analysis, four main conclusions can be drawn. The first one, AI in learning directly increase learning independence. The second one, AI in learning directly increases learning motivation.
Yeah.
The third one, learning motivation directly increase learning independence. And the last one, learning motivation mediates the effect of AI in learning on learning independence. And the theoretical implication, this study enriched Zimmerman and Shanks at 2011 self-regulated learning theory by demonstrating that AI utilization acts as a powerful external stimulus that drives autonomous learning both directly and indirectly through the parallel mediation of learning motivation. For the practical implications, the first one is for the teachers. They could integrate AI as a supporting tool to boost motivation and autonomy while guiding students to use it wisely for independent study. And for schools, they can also provide policies, infrastructure, and training to foster an innovative learning environment for effective and ethical AI integration. The last one, for students, they can utilize AI responsibly to enhance their motivation, structured study habits, and independent learning skills.
That concludes my seminar proposal presentation. I would like to express my sincere gratitude for your time, attention, and valuable feedback. I hope this research can contribute meaningfully to the development of education, especially in optimizing AI technology to enhance students' learning independence. Thank you, and my pleasure once again, and I look forward to your suggestion and constructive input. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.